Story name: The Black Book. New Orleans is famous for its jazz, its festivals, and its haunted history. The French Quarter and the narrow streets hold centuries of whispers, of ghosts, curses, and things that lurk in the shadows. But there's one story almost no one tells aloud. The story of a book, not just any book, but a cursed manuscript that has devoured souls for generations. Locals call it simply the Black Book. The tale begins with Professor Andrew Collins, a 50-year-old literature teacher at Tulane University. A quiet man, widowed for nearly a decade, with no children. Books were his only companions, his only family. Andrew lived alone in a modest apartment near the French Quarter. His life was a routine: lectures, solitary dinners, and nights buried in old novels. He was a man at peace with his loneliness, or so he thought. One rainy evening, while walking through a back alley of the quarter, Andrew stumbled upon a shop he swore he had never seen before. The storefront was crooked, the sign faded, the glass windows layered with dust. A strange smell seeped out, a mixture of damp wood and something rotten. Inside, the shelves leaned dangerously, stacked with forgotten tomes. Behind the counter stood a pale, thin man with sunken eyes who smiled without warmth. Andrew wandered between the shelves until his eyes caught it. A black, leather-bound book. No title, no author, no publisher's mark. When he picked it up, a shiver ran down his spine. The book felt alive, beating almost. The shopkeeper's voice broke the silence. "Don't take that one, sir. Once it's yours forever." But Andrew couldn't resist. Against reason, against instinct, he bought the book. That night, Andrew opened the Black Book. On the first page, in childlike handwriting, were the words, "To read me is to meet the shadow inside yourself." The paper looked ancient, yet crisp, as if untouched by time. At 3 a.m., he woke to the sound of pages turning. The book was open on his desk, though he's sure he'd left it closed. On a blank page, fresh words had appeared. "You opened the door, Andrew. Now you belong to me." His hands trembled. Fear and fascination tangled inside him. Days turned into weeks. Andrew realized that the book was writing his thoughts, his deepest fears, his childhood nightmares, his hidden grief, all spilled across its pages. One night, the book went further. It wrote about tomorrow. Tomorrow in class, the lights will die. The next day, as Andrew lectured, the classroom lights flickered. Suddenly, total darkness. Yet down the hall, every other room remained bright. Students gasped, and Andrew, he smiled in a way no one had seen before. That night, Andrew awoke freezing. The heater was on, the windows locked, yet his breath misted in the air. At the foot of his bed stood a figure, a woman, or something once human. Her hair hung like a curtain over her face. Where her eyes should have been were empty pits, her mouth twisted into an impossible grin. She held the Black Book. Its pages fluttered, though no wind blew. Without moving her lips, a voice filled the room. "Finish me, or I will finish you." Terrified, Andrew decided to destroy it. He poured lighter fluid over the book, struck a match, and dropped it. The flame touched the cover, and died instantly. The book did not burn. Instead, every light in his apartment flickered out, drowning the room in blackness. The same voice whispered, colder than ice, "You gave me fire, then fire is how I'll come for you." From that night forward, Andrew stopped eating, stopped sleeping. His colleagues whispered that his eyes looked hollow, lifeless. Students said strange things happened when he taught. Shadows moved where no one stood. Whispers filled the silence. One morning, Andrew walked into his class and muttered only one sentence: "A man is nothing but a book written by darkness." It was the last anyone saw of him. When police broke into his apartment, every window and door was locked from the inside. The air stank of rot. Andrew was gone. On his desk lay the black book, open. On the final page, in thick, wet ink, were the words, "Another soul is mine. Who's next?" To this day, no one knows where Andrew Collins went, but there are whispers in New Orleans. They say if you wander into the quarter on a rainy night, you may stumble across a crooked little bookstore. There, on a dusty shelf, you might see a black leather-bound book with no title, no price tag. And if you ask the shopkeeper, he'll look you dead in the eye and say, if you take it, you won't bring it back. So the question remains, would you dare open the black book? Would you risk turning its pages? Or will you let the shadows write your ending? If you survived this story, give it a like and subscribe to Voices of the Dead so you never miss the next haunting.